It is week 1 of the fantasy playoffs. Hopefully you didn't get a bunch of L's.
You got a team, here's a word of the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Footballguys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
It is Cecil, Lammey. It is Sigmund Bloom. Week 15 recap and Eagles. Whew, man alive. Are they fun to watch? Even in a closer game than you thought against Chicago Bears. 25-20, the final score. Jalen Hurts, 315 yards passing, 2 INTs, but 3 rushing touchdowns. 17 for 61 and 3 touchdowns on the ground. 9 for 181 for A.J. Brown. Crazy. Devonta Smith, 5 for 126 for the Slim Reaper. Nobody else did anything. I mean, Miles Sanders had 11 for 42. There you go. And a catch for negative 13, so that hurts. But speaking of Hurts, Bloom, if you got Jalen Hurts, as long as you don't get dinged, as long as I can speak English, as long as you don't get dinged for those interceptions, you had a nice day.
Yeah, what you might not know just from looking at the box score of this game is that Jalen Hurts struggled for a good part of this game. This is the Eagles being resilient. They didn't get going in the running game, which was a surprise. As Jack Sanborn went out, the linebacker du jour for the Bears, but it was just Hurts to Brown and Hurts to Smith, and then at the goal line, Hurts. As they were saying on the broadcast team, they just get 2 running backs behind him and just push him in. And I guess this is something maybe the competition committee can look at in the offseason because it's working. It's working for fantasy teams. Hurts had some terrible interceptions, really bad decisions. There was one point in the game where they had a 19-play drive, settled for a field goal, and the field goal was no good, doinked off of the goalpost. Remember, the Chicago-Philly matchup had that double doink in the playoffs, but Hurts just kept fighting, and even a Miles Sanders fumble that was costly. The team was still able to overcome that. So you're seeing this as a resilient Eagles team against a surprising Bears team that sees, I think, has taken on Justin Fields' energy of like, we're a competitive team now. We can hang. And you can really see in this game, the Eagles are a good defense. And they were on their heels against Fields. Once he broke free once, you could tell they were a little gun shy.
They were afraid. Like, I'm afraid of your internet, so make sure you don't have any tabs open anyway. Let's talk about the Bears side. It was Justin Fields got banged up in this one. Nathan Peterman attempted a pass. Of course, he didn't complete it. But Fields, 14 of 21, 152, 2 touchdowns on the day. Byron Pringle, 2 for 39 and a touch. And David Montgomery, 3 for 38 and a touch as a receiver. And then 12 for 53 and a touch as a runner. So Khalil Herbert may be back next week. That'll cut into Montgomery, but so what? Cole Kmet, 4 for 25, and there was one play if Fields had hit that and you saw him kind of motion afterwards, like, a different throwing motion. Mm-hmm. If he'd hit Kmet on that, I doubt Kmet would have scored, but if he would have, that'd have been like, a 60-yard touchdown?
Right.
Whatever. So it was like wide open, one of those wide open plays, at least like a 30, 40-yard gain. If not, he score. Didn't connect. Kmet ends with 4 for 25 and Fields with 95 yards on the ground. So I want this to be the future, Sigmund. And It's so close to looking so good in this future rivalry. And I think the league is in good hands with what Justin Herbert did to finish out that game, with what we see from Joe Burrow. I know we lived in an era with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, but I believe this next generation, we got the hookup too.
Yeah, we do. And it's similar to when we see Allen go against Burrow or Burrow go against Herbert or Mahomes go against Allen. We haven't really gotten one of those brewing in the NFC yet, right? And maybe this is it. Hurts and Fields. And like you said, Fields got banged up. By the way, Philly plays Dallas next week. Big showdown there. The Bears actually controlled the first half of this game. They were putting together long drives. They had one where they got stopped on 4th down, but they were really in control of this game. And you really see that Fields, the game is slowing down for him. He's playing in the got that eye of the tiger where he knows this is like early career Lamar Jackson, where he knows the defense is on their heels. So when he breaks free as a runner, he's the aggressor. He's been making plays. He almost had an incredible touchdown, barely stepped out at the 9. David Montgomery finished it. And there's your main beneficiary, not anybody in the passing game, but David Montgomery as he goes into free agency. Maybe, this is one of those situations where wouldn't it serve both sides best to just keep this relationship together? I know Khalil Herbert might think differently, but Montgomery and the Bears finding something good. And a theme today, this team loses, but they lose with pride, and they still get a better draft pick. So everyone's happy. The Bears next week will face Buffalo.
Tell me something good.
Mm.
New Orleans 21, Atlanta 18. In this one, Bloom, they hate each other. And Desmond Ridder, I'm not going to hold it against him, but it was his first start, and he looked like it. His clock was way off, like way off. 4 sacks, harassed all the time, just holding on the ball too long.
Yeah.
Even when they're setting up trick plays, it's like toss back, double sweep, reverse, back to Ridder, and he's just like hold. Like, St. Cincinnati, buddy. But 21-18, how'd they do it? Well, Tyler Algier, 17 for 139 and a touch. Cordell Patterson, 14 for 52 and a touch. Mark Schlereth on the call, by the way, 7 for 70. More on him at the end of the show. Ooh. 7 for 70 for Drake London, and then a fumble. Costly one. So, it's Ritter's first start. I don't think Ritter's all that. I know there's a lot of people that disagree with that. Whatever. I'm not holding this game against him. Just don't get too excited, Atlanta.
Jitters. He looked jittery at first. Calm down a little bit, but like you said, Cease, it's funny with these rookie quarterbacks. Why isn't Pickett getting in? Well, okay, Pickett looked okay, at least level with Mitchell Trubisky. Why isn't Malik Willis? Well, Malik Willis showed us why. Why isn't Desmond Ridder getting? Well, Desmond Ridder showed us why. Why isn't Bailey Zappi getting in? Now that one might actually be valid, but yeah, you see, it can get worse. And this team's not going to win the division with Desmond Ridder, although the running game kept them in this one. Tyler Algier announced himself in this game, I really think. Just a really stubborn runner. It reminds me more of early career James Conner, where not exactly going to beat you with flexibility and lateral agility and burst and explosion, but just a stubborn, very efficient runner. And you saw him breaking through. I think he has more value than Cordell Patterson at this point, but they're both just flex plays. This is obviously a team that's going to run. If you had Drake London in, satisfied. He did have a costly fumble as Atlanta was trying to drive and pull into a tie for first after we saw the results in the afternoon. Now they go to Baltimore, so it's not going to get any easier for this run first team.
Yeah, let's talk about the Saints and everything that they did in this contest. And okay, New Orleans, Taysom Hill with that touchdown. Nice. And Rashid Shaheed, greatest name ever. I wanted more. Early in the game, he had like a catch, and I think Stink was saying something about him. I was like, just more. And then we got more. 3 for 95 and a touchdown more. Juwan Johnson, 4 for 67 and 2 touchdowns in this one. Chris Olave, 3 for 53. It's floor game, everybody. You have Olave. Hopefully you survived, but you have Olave. It's fine. Alvin Kamara, 2 for 13 as a receiver, 21 for 91 as a rusher. Taysom Hill, 7 for 30 as a rusher. And Andy Dalton went 11 for 17 for 151 and 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Taysom Hill, 2 for 2 for 80 and 1 touchdown as the Saints win at home.
Yeah, and hey, that's all that matters, right? You beat the Falcons, and Taysom Hill threw a 60-some yard touchdown pass, right? That's all that really matters. If you had Taysom Hill and you got that, and Alvin Kamara at least returned to form as a runner, a tough runner as they were in the lead. Andy Dalton, somewhat efficient passer. What you're seeing with this passing game is Rashid Shaheed, the new deep threat, and taking enough of the edge off of Chris Olave's upside that he's just not an automatic play. They're going against Cleveland next week, going up to Cleveland. We'll see if weather plays a role in that game. Juwan Johnson can play a role in that game. And look, Juwan Johnson had 2 targets in the last 2 weeks. Juwan Johnson had 2 touchdowns in a game earlier this year. Juwan Johnson did seem to be a favorite in the red zone, but you were still really skating on thin ice if you happen to have him in. I mean, it was a brilliant play, but in hindsight, there wasn't anything that was leading up to this. But that's why fantasy football can be senseless, but everything does make sense when the Saints win. And hey, they're only a game out of the first place spot in the NFC South. So truly, see what's going to be the record. Could we get a 10-loss team in the playoffs, a 7-10 division winner? Let's see if we can do it, as the NFC South has really taken the mantle. As this may end up going down as the worst division, as a division cease that the Steelers could contend in.
Yes, and that tells you everything you need to know. It is Lions and Jets up next, 20-17, the final score, and the Lions get the win. Jared Goff, 23 of 38, 252, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Amon-Ra St. Brown does everything, including 7 for 76 and then a rush for 6 yards. It was pretty. Khalif Raymond, 5 for 53, also big return man as well. Way to go, Khalif. Brock Wright, 1 for 51 and 1 touchdown. Doubt you had him in, but you never know. DeAndre Swift, 8 for 52 in this one as a runner, 5 for 23 as a receiver. PPR leagues ought to help. DJ Chark, 1 for 18. Oh. Jamal Williams, 13 for 33. Oh, because he's touchdown dependent. But hell, the Lions get the win, so they're not sad, Bloom.
Yeah, a resilient team. Another team showing, hey, these were the 2 toughest games, the games they had the last 2 weeks, Minnesota and the Jets. So let's do this. I think 10-7 is going to be good enough to get them. Goff was good enough. Could have been better. Jameson Williams was open deep, and Goff underthrew and was broken up, or Goff would have had a pretty good fantasy day. It was still enough against a tough Jets defense on the road. DeAndre Swift not getting used enough to be an automatic play, still showing explosiveness and playmaking instincts. Still a flex, an upside flex, going up against Carolina next week, by the way. Jamal Williams, 2 different times. Once was stopped at the 1 on 4th down. Another time had a touchdown wipe off the board by penalty. So it was there. This is still a productive enough offense to consider him as a what-the-heck flex. Khalif Raymond, your buddy, Cease.
I know, love
the
him.
punt return touchdown, 5 catches. Stepping up as the number 2 is DJ Chark. Wasn't doing much outside. Jameson Williams still in a small role. And Brock Wright. Why do we love Detroit sporting that Detroit shirt today? Brock Wright. You got to love this. 4th and inches, down 17-13. And you call play where you basically clear out, bring a blocking tight end back across the formation behind the blocking. I think you feign blocking for a second, just sneak out. And Brock Wright, who's got good speed, we saw it earlier this year, is fast or faster than TJ Hawkinson, takes it, and you love it. His team sees one of the themes today is just teams finding a way to win. Isn't that really maybe in the end what separates? I know that people like to think it's one score game luck. It's all just luck. And I guess if you play fantasy football, that makes sense that it's all just luck. But teams find a way, and in this case, it was play calling and execution, and this was a very good game. These are not bad teams anymore. These are 2 teams that are disciplined. They're teams that play with a lot of emotion, but controlled emotion. They're teams that are waiting for you to make a mistake. They're waiting and poised, and it was fun to see these teams, I think, both on the rise, these head coaches on the rise, these long-suffering fan bases have a lot to look forward to, maybe for the Lions, a little more to look forward to in the near future.
And I wonder if the Bengals ripped off that Brock Wright play. Spoiler alert. Jets side, and the Jets were pissed after this game. And that just tells you how much they take on what Robert Saleh does. Now, Zach Wilson was in, and it wasn't bad.
No.
18-35, 317, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Okay, sacked 4 times, whatever is whatever. But Garrett Wilson, 4 for 98. We thought Zach Wilson's in, like, oh, man, Garrett Wilson becomes like a flex. I just don't trust. Jeff Smith, nobody started him, 4 for 77. Elijah Moore, maybe what the heck flex, 4 for 51 in that one. CJ Uzoma, 2 for 41 in both of those touchdowns. And then Zonovan Knight, 13 for 23 on the ground. That's what suffered, was the rushing attack, as they just 2.3 a carry, 22 rushes, 35 passing attempts, but it was almost enough to get it done.
Yeah. Zach Wilson feeling it as a deep passer. And wasn't that part of the reason that he was a first-round pick, is that he could make a play outside of the pocket, maybe off of a not standard platform, and get that ball out there downfield. And those were the kind of plays he was making. There was one, the long touchdown to CJ Uzoma, where the play was rolling to one side of the field, Uzoma going deep on the other side. Wilson stops and goes back, throwing back to his right. And it was a beautiful throw, beautiful touchdown. You saw him have another play. And these are the kind of plays that Patrick Mahomes or Kyler Murray makes, where he's escaping rushers, still has a wherewithal to see a receiver downfield. This time it was setting up about a 58-yard attempt by Greg Zuerlein to tie the game. So this wasn't a team winning in spite of, or hanging in the game in spite of Zach Wilson. He was making enough plays. He had one bad interception. But otherwise, I think this is a game. We'll see. I think if they go out Thursday night and beat Jacksonville, who's the starter? Probably Zach Wilson, right? I mean, after how he played today, no disrespect to Mike White, who they were cutting to on the sidelines a lot. Garrett Wilson, like you said, was okay. Wide receiver 3 flex still. Denzel Mims goes out with a concussion. It's Jeff Smith making the big plays, not Elijah Moore, who at least got that long catch. And Zonovan Knight, oh boy. Hopefully the Zach Wilson news got you off of Zonovan Knight, as well. We got to give it up to the Lions as a shutdown defense against the run, after being one of the defenses we targeted with running backs. Let's keep this in mind for future years, that these things can change. But the playoff hopes may be slipping away for the Jets. Again, got to win this game against Jacksonville, who's got playoff hopes of their own. But either way, the long term is looking good. And today, Cease, even though they lost, with Zach Wilson showing confidence in himself, the team showing confidence in him making plays when the spotlight was on him, making enough plays, honestly, for them to win if it wasn't for that beautiful play call by the Lions. Long term, this was a really important day for the Jets.
Cowboys and Jaguars, all they needed was a win, and they're in for the Dallas Cowboys, and that didn't happen. Spoiler alert. 40-34, the final score. And wowie, wow, oh, wow. Like, you love to see it. And Bloom, I love to say, I almost want to skip to the Jacksonville side because that damn fumble by Trevor Lawrence, and you're like, oh, you just said a gut punch. You felt so bad for him, and then they came back and they won.
Yeah.
But the Jerry Jones couldn't get his defense to stop Marvin's Jones Jr. or Zay Jones times 3. More on that in a little bit. But let's talk Cowboys. 23-30, 256, 3 up, 2 down for Dak Prescott. C.D. Lamb, 7 for 126. Don't get greedy. Noah Brown was greedy, 6 for 49 and 2 touchdowns. Peyton Hendershot. Always got to look to see which tight end is that?
Yeah.
It's like spit. What? It's spitting up here. 1 touchdown for Hendershot instead of Dalton Schultz, 2 for 15. Tony Pollard, 4 for 31 as a receiver. Tony Pollard, 19 for 75 as a rusher. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 for 58 and 1 touchdown, 2 for 13 as a receiver. Michael Gallup, 1 for 2. So there you go. The Cowboys weren't able to stop the Jaguars. More on that in just a little bit.
Cowboys near loss to Houston, not looking as bad today. More on that later. But you wonder about a game like this, and does it tell us that maybe Dallas has more vulnerabilities than we thought? Or does it tell us that Jacksonville is coming together as a team a la Detroit, and they may or may not make the playoffs, but they're playing playoff quality football? I'll tell you who's playing playoff quality football, the Dallas offense. Dak Prescott. One of the interceptions was not on him. Pick 6 ends this game. The ball bounced off Noah Brown's chest. It's not on Dak Prescott making a real nice throw on the run. It was a fastball, short range, but whatever. I mean, that was the throw that play called for. I can't spit it out. We're both spitting mad. If you're a Cowboy, Jerry Jones, we're channeling him right after this game. So Dak Prescott had a good day. He's been good for your fantasy team. Steady. No Brown overshadowing Michael Gallup. Peyton Hendershot on the wheel route overshadowing Dalton Schultz. Still going to go back to Schultz next week against Philadelphia. Philadelphia encourages you to throw to the tight end, not target those corners. I don't know if we're going to go back to Noah Brown, but I know that Michael Gallup is not in our circle of trust here. Zeke and Pollard both are, but notice that Pollard's getting more touches. Pollard actually got a goal line carry. He stopped at the 1, but he got 1. So this isn't Zeke's going to get all the touchdowns, or Zeke's going to get to 20 carries before Pollard gets to 12. They figured it out that Pollard deserves those touches. He deserves to stay in your lineup. C.D. Lamb, of course, making some big plays. And Dallas's offense, they can hang. They can throw punches with a Philadelphia. The defense, on the other hand, problemas. Preguntas.
Yes. Titi me pregunto. So a little Bad Bunny for you there as well. I didn't cuss. Sorry, Joe. I'm not going to say sorry, Joe.
Let me get out my translate. Oh, no. No need to say
no need. No problems there. Trevor Lawrence, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. And again, that fumble, you just felt gutted for the kid. Slinging it, man, and you love to see that growth, because remember last year, and I know Urban Meyer or whatever is whatever, but like last year it was like the last game of the season he kind of flashed, but it was a concern, Bloom. It was a concern because, I mean, in the pre-draft process, I rarely say like can't miss guy. I said it about Andrew Luck, said it about Trevor Lawrence, and after watching last year the entire season except for the last week, I'm like, oh God, don't miss on the guy that you said was can't miss. You miss on other guys, sure. But like that's a rare thing to say about a prospect. Trevor Lawrence, so damn good. And the transition, the progression, you love to see it. Zay Jones. I mean, where's the Keanu kiss for Zay Jones, right? Am I right, everybody? Yes. Keanu kiss for Zay Jones. Absolutely fantastic today with those 3 touchdowns, 6 for 109 and 3 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, 6 for 92. Marvin's Jones Jr., 2 for 17 and a touch. And honestly, that third Zay Jones touchdown, I thought, was it for Jones Jr.? Or was it for Jones? It was Jones.
Marvin Jones Jr. was hugging him as he caught it.
Exactly. They're like kind of in the same spot. Travis Etienne, 100 yards on the ground. All right. Jamal Agnew, 52 yards on the ground. Nobody started him. Etienne also had 2 for 24 as a receiver. So Jacksonville, the signs are there. Love Doug Peterson. I know Doug a little bit. Can't say I know him a lot, but like I've been around him away from media stuff, and he's a good dude, man. And I love to see the success that Jacksonville's having in Bloom with the way Jaguars fans and I have had a relationship.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah, and they're game out of first now. Slow start. Etienne had a fumble. Michael Parsons gets in a sack, and this game looked like Dallas was going to cruise. Yeah, not so fast. You saw this offense really well designed. Again, they don't have a deep threat. They don't have somebody who's going to win one-on-one at the catch point. They don't have a true number one outside receiver. But what they can do is Trevor Lawrence sees the field quickly, makes decisions, gets the ball out, and they use the speed of ETN, the speed of Jamal Agnew, actually, in the backfield. Also, putting some drives together, using these targets, a lot more from Ingram again this week, Kirk again, and Zay Jones with the 3 touchdowns. And it's beautiful. If you had Zay Jones in, not an automatic start, especially if you only start 2 receivers and a flex, but he's been so steady in PPR leagues. And he had 1 long touchdown in this one, 2 short ones. And remember, he had those mental health troubles after his first season. And you love to see him not just cashing in, but showing that it was a smart investment. Then you have Lawrence. And Cecil, I was with you. My heart dropped for him. He somehow escapes from pressure. They're down 3, driving with about 3-4 minutes left. Somehow escapes pressure, gets into the open field, and could have just slid, decided to try to cut back, and the ball gets stripped, and they get the ball back. He gets another chance, and they get in position for the game time field goal. And then again, the defense does it. This team is still very much alive, very dangerous. And see, right now, if you were a playoff team, and if you're a Cincinnati, if you're a Kansas City, if you're a Buffalo, if you could choose whether to play, I know they've got Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry, but if you could choose whether to play Tennessee or Jacksonville right now, you'd rather play Tennessee. Jacksonville's a more dangerous team with how this offense is performing right now. So we'll see. I'd like seeing, again, Jets, Jacksonville. They're both teams that are on the edge of the playoff picture, maybe could play themselves in. But long-term, Bears, Lions. Isn't this great, Cecil? For all these franchises, there's a light. It's not an oncoming train. Your team's going to get better.
Team is going to get better, and that's going to be good. Was looking kind of not so good. Kind of interesting. Like, what's going on with the Chiefs?
Right.
Like, Chiefs Texans up next. This one can be a little bit shorter, Bloom, just because sure. I mean it's not as good. And we got some scorchers to end on. On Saturday, I was like, there's no way on Sunday when we're recapping the games they will be better. Hold my beer.
Yeah,
that's what Chandler Jones said. Well, that's what Justin Herbert said. Hold my beer. Non-alcoholic beverage here. I actually do have this by the non-paid endorsement. Hold my bottle of tequila because damn, we got some good ones to end on. And yes, I will be cracking some a little bit later. Cold pomps abound for Chiefs fans, of course. 30-24, the final score. Over the Texans. Plucky Texans and their quarterbacks, their Jeff Driscoll package. But Pat Mahomes, 336, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Isaiah Pacheco, 86 yards on the ground. Jerick McKinnon, 1 rushing touchdown, 52 yards. Mahomes with the rushing touchdown and 33 yards on the ground. Travis Kelce, 10 for 105. Juju Smith-Schuster, 10 for 88. Jerick McKinnon, 8 for 70 and a touchdown. So there you go. He's stealing everything from Pacheco, but that's fine. Pacheco did enough. Also 1 for 11 for Pacheco, so damn near 100 yards on the day for the kid. Noah Gray, 3 for 31. Dynasty alert. Kadarius Toney did play, didn't matter. Marcus Valdes-Scantling had a touchdown, so there you go. I've had him in as a flex play. So the Chiefs do it, Bloom. But man, you got the Broncos kind of putting it to you. I feel like what is it, Big Mama's house when she's doing the cheerleader routine? Like, I'm gonna put it on you. Everyone getting up for the Chiefs these days.
Yeah. How is it that Houston can be this competitive? The one thing we thought we knew, they got up for the Dallas game. Kansas City, Denver got up for that game. This game's going to go according to form. No, it's not. A couple of punts. Houston stops Kansas City to open. And then, let's see. Mahomes got going in this game. Marcus Valdes-Scantling even had a play. See, so it was one of those plays where you could tell Valdes-Scantling was proud of himself. It was a fastball in the front of the end zone. Valdes-Scantling snatched it out of the air with a true hands catch. And he was sitting there, I was like, look, I got it. I caught this one. And you saw that. He was making a play. Isaiah Pacheco had a fumble in this one, and Ronald Jones got in. He was, oh. And then Pacheco got back in and looking good, even though he didn't score, even though Kansas City didn't control this game and get him up to 20-plus carries. I still think you look at him next week against Seattle, someone you can go to as a running back too. Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon's a league winner. Hey, everybody out there, I wasn't recommending McKinnon in a ton of the start-sit questions I got this week, because it seemed like, well, they were in a dogfight with Denver, but in a game they can control. McKinnon's not going to have that kind of role. Well, they were in a dogfight, and McKinnon looks good, looks swift. And let's take a moment to remember this, especially if McKinnon helped you win your matchup this week. See, so McKinnon got signed, what, in like May, right? Was it after the draft? He was out there after the draft, right? If it wasn't, it was certainly, he wasn't signed until well into free agency. He was not a first, second, or third wave free agent signing. We were looking at his signing when he was brought back as, oh, okay, well, take some edge off of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or how's this going to work out in this backfield? Is he even going to make the team?
Now, actually, June. It was June.
ProSportsTransactions.com.
It was June 14th. Jarrett McKinnon re-signed unrestricted free agent, 1 year, $1.2 million contract.
Basically a vet minimum.
Let's just say Melvin Gordon was signed months before.
Right. And look how consequential he is for fantasy football. Not just somebody who's griped out value. You can plug him in as running back too. But the last 2 weeks, I don't think any running back has outscored Jarrett McKinnon in fantasy football. We're not even saying he's a PPR play at this point. You can't argue with this trend. And of course, Kelsey, Juju Smith-Schuster benefiting from Patrick Mahomes having to be resourceful in this game instead of it being one where they cruise, but they do get the win. They get the division championship. Talk about ending with a whimper. Remember the AFC West this year, Cease? Every game was going to be no, that's going to be over in week 15, actually. Let's crown Kansas City for the 7th straight year. And they'll play Seattle, and they're still trying to catch Buffalo for that number 1 seed. So don't breathe, exhale yet, Kansas City.
Don't do it yet. Just talk about the Texans. I don't
care.
Nobody had Jordan Akins. You might have had Chris Moore, 445.
Exactly. There's nothing here.
I relied on Dare Ogunbowale, which I did get a question on Dare Ogunbowale. I said that on Thursday's show. And I don't think, I certainly hope I didn't recommend him, but either way, just talk about the Texans, dude.
Yeah, you got it. And this is another one. Restore your pride, keep your pride, but make your draft pick even more rock solid at number 1. Jordan Akins had a touchdown, another one, the pass interference. Jeff Driscoll, you got getting cute there, put him as your tight end. Zonk, that didn't work out for you today. So they were very competitive, did nothing for fantasy football. Doesn't that just sound like the Houston Texans?
That does sound like the Houston Texans. What does it sound like with the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh man, don't reinforce it. Reinforce it. That's the problem. Like, we're gonna play Mitchell Trubisky, and it's gonna work over a plucky Panthers team that was rolling till they met Pittsburgh. And man alive, Hightower leaping, jumping to go get Deontay Foreman. Anyway, 24-16 the final score. Steelers win. Whatever. Do they win though? I mean, they win, but they didn't win. Are they winning? Because they're not going to get a better draft pick, and they're going to stick with Kenny Pickett, and it's not good. Mitchell Trubisky was out there. Of course, Pickett concussed again. Just shut him down the rest of the year, honestly. Jalen Warren had a rushing touchdown. Najee Harris had a rushing touchdown, 86 yards. Mitch Trubisky had a rushing touchdown as well. No passing touchdown. So Deontay Johnson, 10 for 98, just making plays out there. George Pickens, 2 for 53, Mr. Contested Catch himself. I believe he has 15 on the year.
Yep.
Anyway, let's talk about the Steelers. And again, they win, Bloom, but do they win if you win?
Yeah. Well, they win with a blueprint that's only going to take you so far in the 2022 NFL, right? That's why you just feels like, okay, you want to try to bail out Mike Tomlin, maybe win out, and he doesn't have a losing season. Mitchell Trubisky was solid, didn't have any big mistakes like the 3 he had last week, and was accurate and mainly handing the ball off. They ran the ball twice as often as they passed, which is okay if you've got Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson looks fired up right now. He actually looks like he's playing some inspired ball. There was one play as they're driving, they're up 8, and late in the fourth quarter, they're trying to drive, milk some clock, get at least a field goal. And there was a play, one of those plays where they freeze it, and there's Deontay Johnson, and there's 3 guys between him and the first down line. He got a first down. He eluded 3 players in the open field to get a first down. And I think maybe he got a taunting penalty after that or something like that. But I don't care, because it extended the game, extended the clock running for the Steelers. And you also saw George Pickens had that great contested catch, but they're not throwing the ball enough to trust him. Pat Freiermuth, they're not throwing the ball enough for him to even get a catch in this game. But Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, running the ball well. Warren and what the heck flex going forward. Harris firmly in our lineups now, as this is a running team, a team that's going to rely on their defense, playing Las Vegas. Basically, that's an elimination game. The team that loses that's going to be out of the playoff picture. And the Steelers defense is, at least against an offense like Carolina, good enough to control the game.
Good enough. Sam Darnold was good enough, but not today. 14 or 23, 225, 1 touchdown, no INTs. And DJ Moore, 5 for 73 and a touch. How did he catch it?
Yeah.
How did he catch it? He caught
I
it.
had no idea.
He caught it. It's like the TO play, right? He caught it. Chuba Hubbard, 3 for 57 as a receiver, 4 for 10 as a rusher. Maybe you start him. I don't know. Terrace Marshall, 3 for 51. Again, Dynasty. I love Terrace Marshall. See that growth there continue. Deontay Foreman, love him. But 10 for 9. A rougher day. And like I said, Highsmith. And I want the replay wasn't as impressive, but watching that play live when Highsmith like jumps across the formation.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. And then you watch it. And I was like, oh, he was kind of right there. But still, like, hell of an effort by the Steelers to essentially take Deontay Foreman completely away.
Yeah. Didn't Highsmith play his college ball in Charlotte? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. And he had, I remember at the Shrine game in Tampa, I was watching him do one-on-one drills, and he does this flying spin chop.
Yeah, that's his move.
He spins.
He has his own move.
Holy crap. Like, he actually jumps, spins, and then karate chops. I make sure I don't knock anything down here. Watch out for my coffee or my beloved bottle of tequila. Sorry, Joe. I got some good news to tell everybody tonight. Anyway, like, that's, he didn't do that, but the dude is a freak athlete. I love that the Steelers got him.
See, let's have a feel-good moment for the Steelers because it reminds you of how when the Steelers were one of the only 3-4 teams, every time they would lose one of those pinchers, there would just be another one. Lamar Woodley, whoever. It would start out with Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green, and then a beautiful succession: Clark Higgins, Joey Porter, James Harrison, soon to be Hall of Fame James Harrison. So let's just bask in that because Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, keeping that tradition going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers lost to the Panthers the first time they ever faced them, Cease. Haven't lost to them since. So you like that.
Was that a Barry Foster day? It sounds like some Barry Foster day, right? Because Barry Foster went from the Steelers to the Panthers, and I have a Panthers Barry Foster jersey because I freaking love Barry Foster.
Yeah.
Got it from our friend Mark Harper. Anyway, shout out Mark Harper.
Yeah.
Like that has to be like, because that was the Panthers' first year, right?
Anyway, 96. Anyway. Yeah. Panthers, not a running team against the Steelers. Steelers shut them down. Donald had one good drive in the first half where he was slinging it, and then a lot of 3 and outs, and otherwise the Steelers defense controlling this one. At least Darnold's not embarrassing himself. He showed he could be a plus backup going forward in the NFL. Carolina's still only a game out of first, but they got to play the red hot Detroit Lions, battle the big cats.
Red hot. Ooh, red hot. Oh, red hot. Cardinals and Broncos. Not red hot.
Not red hot. No. No. Some people got paid to watch this game. Some people paid to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, tickets were $5, dude.
$5. If it was like a fish show, some fish shows back in the day, they would just the fence would just have tickets stuck in them because there was just too many tickets. You get your freebie. So that's coming soon to you. Denver Broncos. Just go down to the game, score a ticket for free.
Exactly.
At the fish dead shows, you put your finger up in the air. I need one. That's what you do. Go down you get to the Broncos game for free.
You got 5 on it, or are you going to a Broncos game? I think a lot of people.
The title of your article this week.
Exactly, it should be. I think a lot of people should put 5 on it. But either way, Cardinals Broncos is the game. It's hotness. Actually, it's not hot at all.
No.
But the Broncos won, I guess.
They scored more than 18 points.
Yay! What is the battle of the backups when the backup to the backup gets in? And Trace McSorley played most of this game. It was just bad. 24-15 the final score. Broncos get the win. They're 4-10. They're not saving Nathaniel Hackett's job. Stop. Full stop. I love when people say that. Who was it? Is it Dr. Stephen Greer? The aliens guy, the disclosure guy, who's like, full stop. Aliens are here. Full stop. So, full stop. They're not keeping Nathaniel Hackett. They want a meaningless flipping game. So stop. Full stop. Nathaniel Hackett's still fired. Okay? Maybe he gets coach another week. But whatever is whatever. Cardinals, anyway, boom. Cardinals.
Yeah, McCoy
Andrew Hopkins, 7 for 60. James Conner, 1663 in a touch. Trey McBride, 455. Some tough plays at 29-yarder. Real tough there. Marquise Brown, 4 for 19 in this one. Hey, Colt McCoy's out there. Maybe Robbie Anderson, nothing. So if you were relying on this game, even though we did have players come through, Latavius Murray, spoiler alert, if you're relying on this game, you shouldn't be surprised.
No, you shouldn't. Hopkins, whether it's McCoy or McSorley, the mix, he can at least have enough value, but not so much Marquise Brown. Trey McBride has returned to Colorado. looking like there's something there. Maybe it's a desperation play. And at least James Conner scored. James Conner's still playing his heart out. But see, this is what this team looks like without Kyler Murray. This is and then Colt McCoy. It reminds me, Cease, I think I'm gonna wait till you finish this while there. I think it makes me think of like, and look, this affects my life, all of our lives. So I'm not trying to be flippant when I say this, but it makes me think of like hospice. This team, it's everybody knows it's not looking good for them.
Right.
You look at the chart, you're like, yeah, there's not much we can do for this team, for this blueprint, right? This Kyler Keim, who's now on medical leave, right? Wish him the best. Cliff, probably not going to be. What does it look like if it's Kyler coming back
Mistaken
from an ACL?
Identity?
Yeah. So it's just, this is it. They tried it. I mean, they tried something. It was fun. It was fascinating.
At least they didn't stick with Josh Rosen for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
he'll figure it out sometime. And Rosen, smartest guy in the room, just to ask him. I remember asking my Dolphins people, like, what happened with Josh? And they're like, he's just really dumb. And there's football smart and there's book intelligence. And trust me, I'm neither of those. Okay. But like Josh Rosen, why it didn't work out is he's dumb. He's football dumb. So guess what, Arizona? You tried something and hey, more teams need to do that, Bloom.
Yeah, they tried. So E for effort. And they're going to play Tampa Bay next week on Christmas.
There you go. Oh, I got to talk about the Broncos. I get to talk about Latavius Murray. The first 100-yard game of it's week 15. The Broncos finally have a 100-yard rusher, and he took 24 carries. Like, this flipping recipe was here the whole time. And no, it doesn't mean they'll keep Nathaniel Hackett. But the recipe was there. Run the ball. Play great defense.
Right.
That's what they do. 3 picks on the day. And they ran the hell out of the ball. Latavius Murray with a rushing touchdown. Marlon Mack with a rushing touchdown. If you had a minute of what the heck flex. Jerry Jeudy, 7 for 76. I don't think KJ Osborne was my sleeper of the week, Bloom. I kind of thought I may have said that. I was like, nah, I couldn't. I did the P. Ryan thing. That was about it. Anyway, Jerry Jeudy, 7 for 76 in this one. Brett Rippon, whatever.
Yeah,
man. Like, you're not
exactly.
Rippon, but you started Jeudy, you started Murray. You're happy with those performances.
Yeah, Rippon was a good game manager. Probably earned some more shots to be a backup quarterback before he becomes an assistant coach at some point. Marlon Mack touchdown. See, what week was it that you mentioned Marlon Mack? Like 7 weeks ago? Is it maybe it'll be Marlon Mack? Hey, if Latavius Murray gets hurt, you never know. And Murray running the ball really well. And it just shows you how many running backs have a lot left in the tank if they get the opportunity, as Murray is at the end of his career, but for fantasy may still have something for us. Jerry Jeudy was fine. Eric Tomlinson is worth more than Greg Dulcich at this point. They both have nice hair. And the Broncos, well, bumming out the Seahawks fans. You lose to San Francisco. Now your first round pick is maybe sliding down in the top 5 a little bit. And for all the kids, Christmas Day, Rams, Broncos, Nickelodeon, and that game needs a laugh track. So maybe slime and all that other good stuff, some SpongeBob, and make it watchable as we're putting together our, Christmas presents that require assembly.
And there will be kids taller than both of those quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield. That's right. Anyway, we are ramping up.
There was a Santa's elves joke there.
Oh,
you left it. Save it for the fan.
Save
that
the
one
show.
on the fan.
Save it for the
use it
show.
on the fan. Yeah,
right,
use it
right,
on the fan.
Right.
The A material goes for the listeners on the fan.
The
terrestrial radio. Yeah, you guys, we try out all of our material here, and then it gets to the big time.
That's right. They're crescendo in the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's moving up. It's moving up. Cincinnati, Tampa Bay is the next one up, and you're like, okay, well, this isn't. It's all right. There's a somewhat of a crescendo there to the end of this contest, but let's break it down. Let's talk about what Joe Burrow did. 34-23 final score. Joe Burrow, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, a pick. Jamar Chase, 7 for 60 and a touch. Tyler Boyd, 5 for 35 and a touch. Mitchell Wilcox, there's that play that they stole.
Yeah.
1 touchdown. And then T. Higgins, 5 for 33 and 1 touchdown. So spreading it around. Samaje Perine, 24 yards on the ground. Mixon, 21 yards on the ground. Mixon, 33 yards and 5 catches as a receiver. Samaje Perine had a catch for 0 yards. Sounds about right. So it's kind of a weird day. Like, they scored 34 points. They didn't go off offensively. 4 touchdowns, though, but only 200 yards passing. Only 53 yards rushing. But still, a win. A big win that they close out with 17 points in the third quarter. 14 points in the fourth quarter. Take that, Tommy Brady, future 49ers quarterback.
Yeah, the one and maybe only matchup between Burrow and Brady. We'll see. Don't think they're going to meet in the Super Bowl this year. This game was a tale of 2 halves. This was 17-0 for a while. And you heard the broadcast team saying, Tampa Bay putting together the best game on both sides. This is the team we've been waiting to see. Yeah, a team that got drummed out of their own building in the end by the Bengals. Burrow had a little finger issue in the game. The reason there wasn't a lot of offensive production yardage-wise was the defense came alive in the second half, forcing turnovers and setting up Burrow with short fields. So they didn't really have to do a lot. There's a lot of short passing to Chase, to Boyd, to Higgins. They all got their touchdowns. And you saw Pirine get a decent amount of work here, Mixon at least getting those 5 receptions, so he wasn't a total bust. It wasn't a great offensive day. It was a day when the offense made the plays they needed to make after being set up by the defense. And what you're seeing, Cease, is as they run this gauntlet, I was joking with Chris Allen, Cease, those Spartan races?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you train for a Spartan race, right? You do all this training, all the different things you'll have to do. Well, the Bengals are training for their Spartan race, the playoffs, by doing a Spartan race through the end of their schedule, right? I mean, every week they're facing teams with very unique challenges compared to the previous team they played. And they're finding ways to win. They're finding ways to be better than that team, even though every week is a new challenge. And they can't just rest in one mode. And they're losing players to injury, but there's just finding a way. It's much like the run they made in the playoffs last year. It's a whole team effort. And next test, well, maybe not as much of a test as they go to New England.
Tommy Brady, 30 or 44, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Chris Godwin, 8 for 83 and a touch. Russell Gage, 8 for 59 and 2 touchdowns. Who had him in his sleeper of the week? Nobody. Mike Evans, 5 for 83. Okay. And then we have Leonard Fournette, 10 for 44. Rachaad White, 11 for 38. Fournette with 4 for 30 as a receiver. Rachaad White, 1 for 5 as a receiver. Nobody else did anything else. And the Buccaneers, they tried. They won.
Right.
And then they tried to keep it together, and, well, that doesn't work.
Yeah, so we could have a 6-8 team be in first place, all alone in first place. They got a spot at a lead. For fantasy, it's the same as it ever has been. White and Fournette are getting less exciting by the week. Chris Godwin is firmly in our plans every week when we start lineups. Mike Evans didn't do enough. He got out to a hot start in this game, but really didn't do much in the second half. So if you benched him, you aren't really regretting that. You aren't wishing you had. Like you said, Gage getting those 2 touchdowns, one of them in garbage time. Tampa Bay still has to play Atlanta and Carolina. So if they lose both of those games and one of Carolina and Atlanta can win one of their other games, then Tampa won't make the playoffs. We'll see what happens. They have to play Arizona next week. So that's the game they got to win. That's the layup if they want to be NFC South champions and host a playoff game.
Yeah, that's right. What do you want to be? And you may think, well, where's the crescendo in this game? Because it's Titans Chargers up next. And it's like, okay, well, it was late. You're going to look at the box score and you'll be like, this wasn't a good game because it was 17-14. Chargers win. But it's the way that they pulled the sword from the stone. So let's talk about it. Ryan Tannehill. We were talking about the Jalen Hurts rugby play. They tried that a little bit, not quite, but Derrick Henry running into the back of Ryan Tannehill to get that rushing touchdown for Tannehill late. 15 of 22, 165, no touchdowns, 1 INT as a passer, rushing touchdown again late. Derrick Henry, 21 for 104 and a touchdown. Why are they trying to throw to Henry? That play took 8 seconds at the end of the game. Just smash it between the tackles with Derrick Henry. Much easier. 459 as a receiver for Derrick Henry. Chigoziem Okonkwo. Love Chiggy. 454 in this one. Austin Hooper, 2 for 33. And, well, I hope you didn't start Chris Conley or Robert Woods.
Right.
Whatever. Nick Westbrook and Kinney. But here you go. The Titans, and this is Vrabel, man. They're going to play tough.
Yeah.
And they're going to lose tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a street fight, and you're always going to have blood on your clothes after you fight them, even if you won the fight. Tannehill had some blood, at least figuratively, as he left the game for a bit. We saw Malik Willis come in and complete some short passes. Tannehill comes back in, gets that rushing touchdown, so at least something for you. But it was Derrick Henry. He was the whole offense, unless you're counting Chiggy Okonkwo, who was okay. For fantasy, you'll take it. But it's the Tennessee offense. It's going to be low wattage, and their defense didn't force them to get out of that mode here. The game was pretty close throughout. They were always within a score. But now this team sees 3-4 weeks ago, they were going to cruise to the division title, right? It was just a question of, could things set up so that, can they hang with a Buffalo? Can they hang with a Kansas City? Can they hang with a Cincinnati? Now we're wondering, can they win the division? Are they going to back into the playoffs? As Jacksonville is only a game behind them. And that Houston game, again, a month ago, Houston, pencil that in. Ooh, don't pencil in anything. Houston Texans say, we have a little bit of wiggle room and still get the number 1 pick. We can win a game. Maybe we'll beat the Titans.
Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert, man, the kid's got it. Now, no touchdowns today, 2 INTs. 313 as a passer, but late in the game, and this is the thing about the Chargers, just knowing the Chargers historically with Phillip Rivers, gosh darn it, dang it, and all that, like, but Rivers didn't have that killer instinct that Justin Herbert has, and you saw it late in that game. You see it from Mike Williams. If he could ever be healthy, that last play, and Herbert's like gonna get sacked, and he rolls away, and he's boom, and on the run, just puts it in the spot, and Williams like points. Like, and I love that. Yeah, confidence, arrogance, whatever. Yeah, put it up there. Put it up. Let the big man go get it. It's what Herbert did. Williams comes down with it, and then it's a win for the Los Angeles Chargers. Williams 4 for 67. Again, none of these numbers are going to blow you away. Keenan Allen 8 for 86. I guess Austin Eckler 12 for 58 and a touchdown. There you go. 2 for 12 as a receiver. Okay, that's fine. Joshua Kelly 10 for 24 and a touchdown. And there you go. Joshua Palmer 5 for 49 in this one. Gerald Everett 4 for 42. So there you go. They do enough to win, but that's a tough win. And for the Chargers to do that, because here's what I'm thinking, Bloom.
Yeah.
Once Ryan Tannehill does that rugby play, I was like, Chargers, man, they choke all the time.
Right.
They didn't.
They didn't. It's not the only time we said that this year, that the Chargers won a game that's the type of game they lost. And now they would be in the playoffs. The playoffs started today. And if you look at the three teams right now, if the playoffs started today, Cecil, it would be Miami, the Chargers, and Baltimore. And let's assume Baltimore with a healthy Lamar Jackson. If you're Kansas City, if you're Cincinnati, if you're Tennessee, those are not easy outs. That's not Washington. That's not the Giants. You know, a little bit different bracket on the AFC side, as we expected that it was going to be tough to get into the playoffs. And because of that, the teams that are on the road on Wild Card Weekend are going to be good teams. The Chargers may well be one of them, especially if Herbert can keep making these kinds of plays, and you can see with Williams and Allen healthy what he can do, even though it wasn't a good fantasy day for him, and we expected a lot more against the Tennessee defense. You saw Austin Eckler, not a big fantasy day for him, but getting a tough effort touchdown set up with a tough effort run. Allen was good. Williams was okay. Everett was okay. The play on offense, when the Chargers were on offense, the best play was actually made by the Tennessee defense. See, I haven't seen this one before. It was exactly the play, you know, when a player downs a punt at the 1 and they're about to fall in the end zone, so they throw it back to one of their teammates.
Right.
That's what happened. I can't remember who it was now that made I think it was McCreary that might have made Roger McCreary, the rookie, was one half of the play. I don't remember the other. Maybe Kalu, where you diving to catch a ball that is out of bounds and you stay suspended in the air long enough to get your teammate's attention and toss it to him. It looked like a deflection at first, but it was a truly inspired play. I've never seen it before. That was the theme.
That was the start. Yeah.
Well, even the 33-point comeback, you know. I'll just say that if you are enjoying the World Cup or enjoyed it, we had the portal. The sports portal was open. The greatest World Cup final ever happened this morning. That was back and forth and seemingly decided multiple times before it finally did end. And it was a spectacular back and forth game. So maybe something about the stars, something about the astrology this week that opened up lots of, I've never seen that before. The Chargers winning a close game. Well, we have seen that before, but starting to stack those wins together. Can they do it against Indianapolis next week? If they can continue to do this, 10-7 is going to get you in the playoffs, and I sure would like to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs.
Have fun, just don't go overboard like Morocco fans. I believe it was like shameful, absolutely shameful.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get off of that, Bloom, because God, it's the World Cup. Sorry, I know. Everyone always gets mad at me like it's the greatest sports thing in the world. You should be happy. I'm like, it's in Qatar. We really want to talk about that, and we really want to go there. Like seriously, like I'm super excited. Like I could give a. Sorry, Joe. Almost made me go there. Another F-bomb on the Audible. But anyway, I can't stand soccer, but that's just me. I'm old and grumpy, Bloom, but what makes me happy is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, Patriots, Raiders. And I feel like I owe McCole Hardman an apology because I was like, stop making McCole Hardman a thing. Stop making Mac Jones a thing. Mac Jones sucks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Stop it. And it's not like Bailey Zappi's great either, but it's better than Mac Jones. And just because he's a first rounder and blah, 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 all this other stuff, like Mac Jones sucks. Sorry. Raiders 30, an improbable 30. Patriots 24. Mac Jones terrible. 13 of 31, 112. Like you're throwing it back to Mac Jones. Hey, that super unathletic guy. Let me throw it back to him on the, tossing it back and forth. Anyway, Ramondre Stevenson, 19 for 172 and a touchdown, and then start of the boneheaded play that Chandler Jones takes advantage of. I feel like we can't even really talk about this without bringing up the last play. We can't really save it for the Raiders side. But Bloom, I will allow you to do that because, well, this was a hell of a game and a hell of an ending. Just again, you mentioned the last play, like a Harlem Globetrotter stuff. Like this is crazy, man. Insanity.
Yeah, even the play, really, it took an incredible play by Keelan Cole to even set up the play. I can't wait to find out what the name for that play is. Something to do with the injury lawyers, Jacoby Myers, right? Isn't that what the Jacoby Myers law firm was? Ramondre Stevenson returns to Las Vegas and has a tremendous game. I know there was a lot of questions about him this morning. Congratulations if you trusted him, got the benefit from that. The passing game was terrible. Mac Jones is not good. Mac Jones is, you just move on. Time to move on. We'll see if we see Bailey Zappi, Jacoby Myers. So what happened? Because really it was Ramondre Stevenson. It was Kyle Duggar. That's another play. We'll talk about that when we get to the Vegas side.
Yes.
Kyle Duggar also made it. You know, I'll save it. Let's talk about the last play of the game. 24-24. Raiders had just gotten the game-tying touchdown, a spectacular play that went to review, and it was one of those plays that because it was called a touchdown on the field, it wasn't overturned by replay. If it was called out of bounds on the field, it also would have not been overturned. There was just not conclusive evidence whether Keelan Cole's foot was in or out. And then the Patriots have the ball around like the 40-yard line of the Raiders, 45-yard line. They complete a pass to Ramondre Stevenson on the last play regulation. Ramondre Stevenson makes about 25 yards on the play, and Jacoby Myers is standing about 2 yards behind him, so he pitches it back to Jacoby Myers. Now, this is a point, it reminds me of the LeBron James, who was it, J.R. Smith, is that who it was?
Yeah.
The game was tied. They could have tried another shot, and he's holding the ball like they're in the lead.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we won. We just beat the Lakers. We won. Similarly, I think Jacoby Myers had thought or the mindset of, we're down, and we have to just keep the play alive. So let's try something. Jacoby Myers used to be a quarterback. Remember, he's done some pretty nice passes in the NFL. And he throws one back to Mac Jones, underthrows it a little bit. And you can see as the camera's panning, oh no, there's a black jersey there. Wait a second. He just threw the ball backwards in the area of a defender. And Chandler Jones, and you want to talk about revenge games. Remember, Chandler Jones had that incident with synthetic marijuana, right? Ended up with something like naked, a police station, a bunch of like Mad Libs of NFL offseason incident. And that's when he was traded to the Cardinals for a second-round pick. And he was one of the few moves where you look back and say, well, he had a lot better career after that than someone that gets traded for a second-round pick. Ends up with the Raiders, signing in free agency. Hasn't really had a great year. Finally came on, had those 3 sacks a couple of weeks ago. IDP players know what I'm talking about. It makes an athletic play to catch the ball in the air, and it's him and Mac Jones. And Mac Jones is right in front of him. So this is why, and look, Cam Newton, I know a lot of people like to clown on Cam Newton because of that play in the Super Bowl. This was worse. This was so much worse than not diving for an interception. Because it's you are the last line of defense. Ben Roethlisberger was falling down and had to swipe at Nick Harper's ankle, who got stabbed. And got him. But Ben Roethlisberger, and he had to wheel back and forth. Ben Roethlisberger's not exactly
set him up, right?
Yeah.
Like he set him and he turned his head around. He's like setting him up so he could make that one swipe. And it worked.
And Mac Jones went out like a chump. An absolute chump. He got not even really stiff armed, just kind of pushed to the ground, and he kind of lamely reached up like, well, I tried. And that was it. And that was it. And I don't know. I can't wait to find out what the name of this play is. Raiders are still alive for a playoff berth. Patriots take one on the chin for a chance to hang in the playoff picture, but it's going to get tougher from here on out. This was the game the Patriots had that was a bit of an easier game compared to what they have left. Again, Cincinnati next week, they still have to play Buffalo and Miami. And maybe for Patriots fans, if this just exposes that Mac Jones isn't the guy, it was a productive loss.
Yeah, I guess so. Devontae Adams, we're going to take one guy away. Well, 4 for 28.
Yeah.
But Keelan Cole, 2 for 50 and a touch. Was he out? Darren Waller was back, 3 for 48 and a touch. Matt Collins, 4 for 40 and a touch. We never talk about his hair. Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs, 22 for 93 on the ground. Derek Carr, 3 touchdowns, 231. And just the last play.
Yeah.
It's the last play, and it's Adams. That's what fantasy GMs are going to be talking about. Like the last play, and like, what happened to Devontae Adams? Well, Belichick takes somebody away.
Yeah, and because of that, you got a touchdown to Hollins, touchdown to Waller, touchdown to Cole. And then you had Adams not doing much. Jacobs was okay, not a week winner. Kyle Duggar, real quick. And you wonder why this doesn't happen more often, because they love those quick screens out to Adams. And this is film study plus ability, right? See, the player reminded me of a Troy Polamalu. Troy Polamalu was a player that once or twice a season would make a play that looked like he got instructions from God himself. And Troy Polamalu would cross himself before and after every single play. So maybe it's just putting yourself in that wavelength or that mindset that allows the game to speak to you like that. Kyle Duggar was kind of playing slot corner, I think, and Devontae Adams was out wide. And when the ball is snapped, and maybe it's the body language, maybe it's the formation, right? Maybe it's this formation and situation. Maybe it's like they have to throw these at certain times in the game, 1st and 10 or after a punt and things like that. Kyle Duggar from the slot corner just took off to the spot. I don't know if he took off before Derek Carr threw the ball, but it wasn't that long of a throw. And Devontae Adams, you can tell, like, wait, there's somebody, what? And Kyle Duggar skies a la Tariq Woolen and tips it to himself and walks in for a beautiful touchdown. Should have been the margin of victory. If you got the New England Patriots defense, you got to benefit from that, as Duggar is a really good player, made a really good play, but they needed more really good players on offense if they were going to win this one.
That was the trouble with that, Bloom. But what a I don't smoke cigarettes.
No,
I don't encourage smoking cigarettes.
Was it good for you?
But this feels like it was a good for you type of moment.
Yeah, well, and I think, Cecil, what's great about this day is it wasn't just teams playing for the playoffs. It wasn't just teams playing to stay alive. It was teams that are coming out of bad periods in the arc of the franchise. Again, the Bears, the Jets, the Lions, the Jags. The Bears aren't going to make the playoffs. The Jets, Lions, Jags, still alive. But we're seeing that new. I know there was a point the last 5, 6, 7 years. We brought up Ben Roethlisberger, Cecil, when all these guys are retiring. Peyton, Breeze, Brady's still around, but Phillip Rivers, where are the quarterbacks coming to replace them? How is this game going to remain?
We're so worried
compelling?
about it.
Yeah, how is it going to remain compelling? And I think we're seeing it now. We're seeing it come into focus, and we're seeing one of the most entertaining Sundays this year. Would be one of the most entertaining Sundays in any NFL season, and get your juices flowing because the stakes get higher. They get higher for our fantasy teams. They get higher for the NFL. We're going to see more things we've never seen before.
Send Christmas cards to Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, all the youngsters. Throw in Pat Mahomes if you want. Whatever is whatever.
Yeah.
But Bloom, I have a special treat for everybody if you're going to stick around to watch the end of the show.
Okay.
And I showed you this on Thursday, and I was like, damn it, I should have showed everybody else.
Yeah. So, this is great.
Yeah, this is a package that is going to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Because in March, and you've seen it behind me here, and here, cover A and cover B, just for The Rock. This is cover A. That's going to be available on Kickstarter in January. And there's my 12-back Chewbacca. Anyway, so, running an independent comic book company, going to crowdfund 8 different books next year. I'll have a crowdfund like January through September, basically. I'll also Indiegogo. But anyway, so in March, I was at a comic book convention, and Mark Schlereth was there because Mark Schlereth is awesome. And he was signing autographs, and he comes over to me, and I'd never really talked to him about my comic stuff. But I had written something, something that Bloom, it came from our minds together one day, like just talking about this. And that's when I said, oh, fake booze. That must have been like 2 years ago, probably, right? Like 2 years ago, something like that. It was a while. And so I pitched fake booze to Stink because I'd originally wrote it with The Rock and Kevin Hart in mind, like as a vehicle for them, as a franchise. And also there's a role for Mark Schlereth in it because, well, I suck up to my buddy Mark Schlereth. So Stink, as he often does, shocked the hell out of me when he said, give me the comic and I'll get it to Dwayne. So this, in this package, is that comic that's going there. And this is only for him because, again, this is cover A. That's what everybody else will get. And then this is his cover. This is beautiful. And as having worked on this, and you and I talking about it 2 years ago, and then having written the treatment, I haven't written the screenplay, but I've written the treatment, and then putting it in a comic book form, and then having the opportunity to pitch this to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like, this is absolutely outstanding. So this makes me so damn happy. The NFL Saturday made me happy. The NFL Sunday made me happy. having this to be going to someone like that from a personal friend. And basically, I'm going to tell Dwayne, like, this is your Berserker. You've never seen this, Bloom. This is Berserker. This is from Boom Studios. This is Keanu Reeves' comic. And he's going to do one movie, and that's going to be a bunch of Netflix like animated shows. But he did this comic. He kickstarted it, raised $3 million. So yeah, so I'm going to pitch this to Dwayne The Rock Johnson and be like, this is your Berserker. Like, do one movie and then make the rest of it a comic and a streaming show, like a cartoon animated series. Anyway, it's 21 Jump Street meets Ghostbusters, Bloom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's it. You got to be able to boil it down.
Yeah, you got to have the elevator pitch down. I've definitely learned that. And other things you learn from pitching people, because you pitch everything, right? Pitch everything. Pitch all the time. You can tell when people's eyes, like, you can tell when your story loses interest or what part of your story needs work on. So this that you just saw will go to Mark Schlereth and it will go to The Rock. And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But you and I might be doing a show from the beach.
Sipping on a drink with an umbrella. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I got a nice bottle to enjoy myself because that has been completed now. That part. And just being creative. And I urge everyone, because I'm a dreamer. I got into this dreaming. You know what I mean? I got into it when Footballguys in 2005 told me we need like an online radio show. This is kind of becoming a thing. They weren't even called podcasts, Bloom.
Right.
And I had been on the air since 2003. So I was a professional, right? After 2 years with Mark Schlereth, by the way. Again, it's all about stinks. What a beautiful, beautiful soul. Shirt off your back type of guy. Like Orlando Franklin. Beautiful soul. Like, great. Shirt off your back type of guy. Anyway, so like it just started with the dream. And I love when people tell me I can't do something because I'm like, I'm just going to go do it. And I encourage everyone, because this creative spark, when we get in our yellow boxes, and I'll tell a little tale off behind the scenes, Bloom, for the people that stick around. Like, you know, there's things in life that we all go through that aren't fun and are challenging and are difficult. And the way that you and I treat things is like, let's just get in our yellow boxes. Because once you and I are in this yellow boxes, I got a box, you got a box. Like, things are better. And I urge everyone, that creative spark, I don't care if it's writing songs, I don't care if it's video editing, I don't care what it is. You want to host a podcast? Yes. The answer is yes. Because the only obstacles are put there by you. That's it. So what you think about, you bring about. Go make something happen. And no matter whatever happens with fake booze, and no matter whatever happens when I kickstart it in January, I created that. You and I started something that got created into that. My friend, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's just why I wanted to wrap up the show. And I want to show everyone that cover, because when I showed it to you, you were like, holy, shut your mouth. That's gorgeous. I think you said that's gorgeous.
It is. Well, it sparkles like a jewel. Yeah. And I think the jewel is, you talk about souls. I mean, it's our souls. That's where the sparkle actually is. And then you can distill that into something you create and create a connection and a spark for other people. That goes, I know that our society now sets up a certain kind of scoreboard for how to know if you're doing okay or for your success and things like that. But I think that the gleam, putting the gleam in people's eyes, keeping the gleam in your eyes, that's the real high score that you want to get.
There you go. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned. And as always, where is it? Stay frosty.